I'm Brian Proffitt. I'm with Project Atomic and other various and sundry things, and I'm here to ask and answer the question, why is everybody hating on operating systems? Because this is kind of a thing. I'm working with it, and yet it's sort of getting dissed. So here we go. Brief history of operating systems. You have hardware, you have applications, and in between you have the operating system, which takes advantage of the hardware, and so the hardware is not a collection of sand and metal. Now, right now, operating systems are sort of getting abstracted. There used to be all hardware, bare metal. Now it's moving into the virtualization world. But even though it's sort of changing where it lives, operating systems still have a lot of the same complexities and problems. All the pros and cons are still there no matter where you are with an operating system. So I kind of think about this and it's always been an OS-centric world. It's all about the operating system, okay? But up until recently, that's the way it's always been. So right now, we're seeing a big push against that and saying, no, operating systems are terrible. Developers love operating systems because, case in point, you've got an app. Somebody does a security patch on a library that your app depends on, boom, your application breaks. Admins have about the same problem, and, coupled with the fact that they've got to bring machines down and up if they've got a security update. So it's just this really nightmarish scenario of, chugging these things along and lugging them around. DevOps is awesome. It's cool. It's wonderful. But you know what? The operating system's still there. So you've sort of made it even more complex, and now the operating system is something you'd rather just blow up instead of work with. Now, as I mentioned before, virtualization and cloud, these are all the first steps. We've abstracted the operating system. We've made it easier to pick it up and move it and manage it and whatnot. It's getting a little bit better. And then, moving forward, we moved from a geocentric thing to, the heliocentric model, and now containers are app-centric. You've got the service inside a container with just what you need to run it, and that's a beautiful thing from a developer and an admin point of view. And so containers are pretty much mostly awesome. I say mostly because, it's early days for containers, and, it's a little rough around the edges, but it's getting better. Okay, so who cares about the operating system anymore? This guy cares a little too much, but I'm from the Midwest. I'm not going to judge. But anyway, who really cares about the operating system? And I think we should care about it because with all this cool stuff, innovation is still key. We need some place to innovate. As much as we do cool tools like 3D printing and micro manufacturing, which is really awesome technology, by the way. I'm not here to diss it. But it's not for everything and everybody. It's not something that you're going to use for all hardware and all products. You're still going to have to do it at scale. You're still going to have macro manufacturing, factories and foundries and assembly lines. These are not necessarily sexy things, but they are important things. So this is the Mars orbiter that India launched in 2013, and it will be in orbit of Mars hopefully later this year. This is a big step for India in their space program. Okay, the first time they've had an interplanetary probe, but it started with something simple. They innovated in schools like this. This is a physics lab from a rural India high school. And, I'm from Indiana. What are you going to do? But this is the same for IT. You've got to innovate somewhere, and I believe that the operating system is where it's going to do. We at Atomic, we're innovating on the operating system, for the operating system. We are innovating with tools like RPM-OS3 and SE Linux and Cockpit and Kubernetes. And these are things that are all coming together because at the end of the day, operating systems are the foundation on which innovation happens. So please, don't be a hater.